All right. We are live, Canes fan. So this is Spiked Rob from the Spiked College Football Show, and I'm doing my own little special brand of analysis this season. We're going to be comparing chess and football. I'm actually going to be using analytical techniques from chess to apply to strategies that coaches use during football games, especially the Canes. So I'll be focusing on one side of the ball for every Canes game that comes out this season. Usually it's going to be offense. It's a lot easier to follow what they're doing. So if we take a look at this example from last year, we've got a setup where we have our offense going on the field, trying to beat up on another team. What other team than FSU? And this will allow us to do a little chess analytics while we're also talking about football, just to put a little more added depth to what the coaches are trying to do from a play calling standpoint. So we've got other great analysis out there from other Canes contributors. Roman from the Orange Bowl Boys, Canes 365 football, Cane Films, Cane Legacy. All those great guys are doing good work looking at individual plays. My goal is to be able to take an entire game and break down and see every play called during the course of a game by a particular coordinator for Miami. So in this case, we're talking about offense. We're talking about Rhett Lashley. So as an example, this is how we're going to have our setup. We've got our play, of course, the X's and O's that we've always seen when we're watching football and football strategy. These are all approximations of where the players are in the field, the general formation called by Lashley when trying to do a setup. I took one very brief drive from the FSU game when we were up 21-3, but I thought it would be a good way to show kind of how the initial setup is. And going forward, I'll be doing analysis of all the plays called, not just a few plays here and there, but all 80 plays called in a game by Lashley to show the strategy that he does. So in this particular drive, we've got 1st and 10 on the Miami 48, and we've got a pass. And of course, this is in the second quarter. Again, we were already up 21-3 while we were thrashing FSU. And so we've also are going to track the yardage as a result of the play. So in this particular play, there's a play action pass and a throw out into the flat to Brevin Jordan for 5 yards. The next play, they bring Brevin over and into the line, have him on the line as a tight end instead of as a slot receiver. And from 2nd and 5, run the ball right up the gut. Now, these arrows, again, are approximate. So this is not – the idea here is not to have everything down to the nth degree. This is more of the overview of the strategy. So the arrow here shows where we ran the ball and how far Rooster got on this particular run before he made initial contact. After he made initial contact, he obviously went a lot farther than just past the line of scrimmage. He ended up going for 7 yards. But the idea is that once there's initial contact or once the pass is thrown, everything from a strategy point no longer you have no control over where the ball's going from that point. If a player makes a great second or third effort and gets a lot of yards after contact or something like that, that's great, but you can't plan for that as a coach. That's not the strategy side of things. That's the players going out and making plays, which is more of a recruiting thing, more of a training thing or conditioning side of stuff, which, again, from a strategy point, you can't expect your players to go out and break 2 or 3 tackles every time they get the ball. You have to try and put together a scheme that puts them in the best position to succeed. So in this particular case, it was basically a dive play right up the middle. Jalen goes for 7 yards after contact with the lead guy. It was actually Will Mallory blocking for him. Fine. We get the first down. We run to the line because this is what Miami does. And on the third play of this drive, we've got the same exact setup formation as the play before. Only difference is that we put D. Wiggins into motion and we get great results. 40 yards through the air, touchdown. Canes go up even more on FSU because we just demolished them this game. But as you can see, we go from having a brief, couple short chunk plays to a 40-yard gain. And the way that this worked is that it was off of a play action and then a designed rollout to the right, and King just throws a a diamond pass, just on the money, while getting hit 40 yards through the air and hits D. Wiggins. So what does this have to do with chess? Well, in chess, at least in the three, especially that last play we're talking about, but in this particular example that we're using today, just to kind of show you what I'm talking about when we're applying one to the other. In chess, we've got a principle called discovered attacks. It's basically any sort of play action play that you could call for football. We've always got the ability, because you have 11 guys moving simultaneously, to try and do multiple things on the same play. Well, in chess, you can do the same thing as well if you set it up right. So in this particular case, we've got the white pieces that we are using, and the opponent, we'll say FSU in this case, is the black pieces. They technically have more material. They got better pieces than we do, at least in this particular setup. But the principle is that when you have a discovered attack, you can actually take a fairly minor piece, a bishop, and you can do multiple things with one move. By moving this bishop one step up and to the left, you not only put the king in check right there, you also open it up so that the rook, which is at the bottom of the screen, can eliminate the queen on the other side of the board. This is all with one move. This is something that, at least in football, people try to do all the time. And it's a principle that is just as sound in chess if you can set it up correctly. So in this particular case, when we've got this play that ended up going for 40 yards, we had the same exact formation that the play before. Rooster had run straight up the gut and got 7 yards for a first down. And in this play, we've got the same exact formation, same setup. Only difference is that we slid Wiggins in motion, got him a little closer to the line so that he could come across the field. And right here, we've got the play action. And so, of course, we've got that action between King and Rooster, and you're basically trying to do multiple things at the same time, just like you would with the discovered check. So by doing this move in the backfield, you allow Wiggins to get basically a full head of steam, while the other two guys who are supposed to be guarding him in the secondary, they have to hesitate. They have to slow down. They barely move from their starting positions, and Wiggins, at least in this screenshot, is a blur. You can barely see him because that's how fast he's trying to take off. So what does it lead to? It leads to a wide open, he's got 3 or 4 yards on these guys, well past where they're supposed to be guarding him. That discovery opens up basically a big time catch on the back end. So this is just a short example. When we're going through 80 plays in a game, and I will be reviewing all of the plays, there'll be multiple opportunities to stop and take a look at how chess principles can influence the play call or the play setup in a particular situation throughout the game. I will be highlighting 3 different ones: the opening in the first quarter, the middle game in second, third quarter, and of course the end game is 4's up in the fourth quarter. But there'll be points throughout each of these games, I'm sure, I just know it because that's how strategy works. They build off of each other, that we'll be able to highlight some of the things that went well or not so well for Miami as we go through the season. So next week, I'll be starting with the bowl game. I'll be starting with OK State and going through all of the ups and downs of that particular game. But this is just a little taste of what I'm going to be doing throughout the year. I'll call it Gridiron Grandmasters. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Please feel free to follow us. We've got good content throughout. You obviously know I'm Spiked Rob. If you're seeing this, you already know my Twitter handle, but I also have college football analysis through Spiked. And of course, follow us on YouTube. And I even have a Twitch stream that I'll be doing throughout the year as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a great Sunday. And as always, go Canes.